Get from around people that you see every day. Get around something new. Get around space. Get around land. Get around opportunity.
As a New Yorker, you don't want to hear that.
You don't. All you know is your city.
You don't trust it.
You could have traveled the world, but still, all you really know is your city. If you haven't lived anywhere else, so I probably would have said get around other people, get around other places a lot sooner to expand my thinking earlier.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce you to Aunt, and I'm going to say this name right, Janilka. Ladies and gentlemen, the Heart Sog family, More Than a Side Hustle podcast. If you ain't listening to it, I don't know where you at. You missing your life. But y'all need to listen to these people because we're here tonight to be able to hear from them. Family, how y'all doing?
Hello. Love the introduction.
Man, listen. We got a lot to cover, so I'm gonna start kind of in the middle, and then we'll work our way backwards. Because when I interview people, I do my homework, and then the other thing is when y'all post, I be paying attention. So we got to talk about some posts I saw that I was like, "Ooh, why they say that?" Right? So we're gonna get into all of that. But first of all, you guys have done something that I don't think gets applauded enough. I guess I will say, being a husband and wife duo. Building the same business. But here's where I want to kind of start. I want you to introduce yourselves, but more importantly, one of y'all start talking about how did you figure out who was good at what in order to run this business? Because I would imagine when you first start, it's a little bit of friction involved because most people go, well, I know what I'm doing. And the other person is like, no, you don't. You clearly don't have it because this is falling apart. I want to know, how did y'all figure that out? Was it rough in the beginning? Was it somebody let go, the other person led? Talk to us about what that was like. And then we're going to work our way kind of around your journey, because I just think what y'all are doing is incredible. And what y'all have done is super dope.
So introduce ourselves. My name is Janoka. This is Anthony, as you said. We're from Brooklyn, New York. We live in Dallas, Texas for now 7 years. We got married in 2016 and started our debt-free journey in 2017. And we, as he said, paid off $114,000 of debt in 23 months by side hustling. And during that time, we started a cleaning business where we do not clean any homes. And for the past 2.5 years, we've been teaching people how to do the same. And we have students in 35 states, and our students have done over $8 million in revenue. So that is a bit of who we are. Now, how did we kind of get this thing together? As we're talking through this podcast, it probably will come up a lot, but a lot of the ideas that we have in the family is through Anthony. He listens to tons of podcasts, and I usually shoot every idea down. So the cleaning business was an idea that he brought that I did shoot down, that I eventually said yes, but the cleaning business was both of ours first business. Neither of us had a business before that. So we learned the journey together. There wasn't really much of, I know more of this versus you, except for the fact that Anthony was a director at his company. So he did a bit more interviewing and stuff. But that's kind of our quick synopsis story.
Yeah. I want no need to elaborate. So she touched on all the points there.
Yeah, it's interesting. Okay, so I like what you said, because here's the thing that I want to dive into. So both of you full-time jobs, both of you were rocking in your careers, and this idea pops up. Now, here's something that I know I went through, and I would like to hear what this was for you. I know the first time I had even the inkling of an idea to build a side business, I immediately squashed it. It was like stepping on an ant. I wanted nothing to do with the idea to germinate in my mind, because I felt like I am in this great corporate job. They're paying me great money. Life is good. I did not want to give myself permission to think that way. Talk to me about what that was like the first time you even went we should think this way. What was that moment like for you?
Yeah, it really came down to exposing myself to another way of life that people were living. And once we had the idea to pay off this debt, we picked up jobs, but we knew that our time was limited. So we could work all we want, outside of our 9 to 5s, but our time is limited. So when I had the idea to start a business, it came from listening and hearing people who had 9 to 5s who also ran successful businesses. So that let me know what was possible. When before we got there, didn't know it was possible because I didn't see anyone doing it, anyone that looked like me doing it. So when the idea first came up, it showed me what was possible. And at that point, we already started our debt-free journey. So it was like, all right, we already doing this. Why not try this as well? And I obviously brought the idea to Janoka, and she said no. And it just took more explaining and convincing to do. So that's where that started from.
And I wouldn't even say that there was a aha moment. It's just been a gradual transition as we have learned more about the business. Like he said, we were paying off debt. Then we started the business and things like that. So as we learn more, it became gradual for us changing our mindset and changing the way we think about everything because we were just, learning it together.
Yeah. So, one of the interesting things about these journeys is that at some point when you decide to dive in and you decide that, hey, we're doing this thing, you quickly figure out that, okay, there's some things that we didn't account for while we thought about this great idea, right? It sounded good, and I thought we covered all the bases before we started down this jump. Talk to us about some of those things that popped up for you guys that as you got started, you were like, oh, we didn't consider that. Oh, crap, I didn't think about this thing. Oh, wow, this popped up. And what were some of those pieces that you guys had to start to navigate to? Not because you didn't have a well thought out plan, but because most of the things that you learn, the nuances come after you start. What were a few of those things for you guys?
And to be clear, I don't know that we had a well thought out plan. We had a plan that we knew we were starting.
A decent plan.
We had a decent plan, right? We knew we were starting a business that neither of us have ever had a business. I think one thing that I could say that none of us accounted for, which is bizarre because I'm a mental health therapist, but the mental turmoil, the mental part of it that comes with the business, especially since we're a service-based business that deals with a lot of customers. So that part, I don't think either of us thought about having to deal with how one customer can change your whole mood on a vacation or on a Friday night or on a Valentine's Day or whatever it may be. That's not something that either of us thought about when thinking about a business.
And then I would think the bigger we got, the more eyes, more attention our business got. So another thing was publication. So our name is attached. Our face wasn't attached to the business, but our name was on the back end of the business. So anytime our name got publication, the business got publication, and people start kind of poking around and digging into your personal lives at that point. So we didn't realize the bigger we got, the more attention would be drawn to the business side of things. As obvious as it sounds, our face of that, our business brand has nothing to do with our personal brand. So we didn't realize the two would be correlated at some point.
Yeah. Was that a deliberate decision to choose?
Yeah.
Not okay. And why did you make that deliberate decision? And what did that do to your business as more and more people found out the faces behind the actual product and service?
It was I don't know. It was deliberate, but what happens is people are crazy, if you will. And so sometimes people would just leave reviews and they've never even used us before. Our services before. They would just leave it because whatever. That's something that we face. Yeah. Or people, demanding or just calling our company saying like, is this a real company? Do they really run it? Like, so certain things like that we do face. That does come up. So we don't really mention the name of our cleaning business anymore.
But
if you decide to look for it, sure.
But it was I would say it was very deliberate when we started. We just knew that there was no need for our faces. I know people start a business like, oh, I want my name and my face to be attached to it. He's like, well, it's just a cleaning business. People don't need to know who own the business. People don't need to know who run the business. They just need to know they're getting excellent service. They know that if they have a problem, they have a customer service team to go to. A lot of these companies, you don't ever talk to the CEO. So why do you think you need to know who the owner or CEO is of a small, quote unquote, mom and pop cleaning business is? And we didn't want our personal brand to impact We said if we ever get canceled on the personal side, we need our business to still be able to run.
100%, 100%. Yeah. So let's talk about. I want to switch gears here because I want to go back to your corporate journey. Tell everybody about what what your corporate journey was like. Did you love it? Did you find places where it was where it kind of sucked? What was that like? But the other thing is that my tribe are people who we call ourselves the successfully discontent. Were you ever successfully discontent in your role? And what did you do to manage that and still be productive?
Yeah, so I worked at my last job I was at. I was an IT director at a support company for nine and a half years. It's almost 10 years. I came in the company. I was the youngest person in the company. We started with 20 people. By the time I left, we had upwards of over 200 people. So I came at that company at a very young age. I started the company 20 something, early 20s, and I left, at my 30s essentially. So when I got to the point in my company where I said there's more outside of me just working up this corporate ladder, and we started exploring other options, that's when I became kind of discontent with where I was, not at the company, just in life. So I was like, I don't want to have to be on a call with somebody that I absolutely despise talking down to me or having just because meetings. There was a lot of like politics
during COVID. It was a lot
during
of just
COVID.
meetings.
I literally told my manager, I was like, we've tripled the amount of meetings we have because, and he eventually came and said, I didn't know how to manage you guys remotely, so I was just having meetings just to make sure you guys were working. And I literally told my manager and said, I would never work over 40 hours a week because I'm a director and I have a team of 35 people. If I'm ever working over 40 hours, it means I don't know how to do my job. That means I'm going above and beyond when I have a team who can help me out and run, quote unquote, my side of the business. So when I started taking my business mindset and applying it to the job, that's where things started to become started having friction.
Yeah. What about you, Janelka? What about like what when you think about like the work that you were doing? Tell everybody kind of like the work and what you did, but where did you become successfully discontent?
I'm still at my 9 to 5.
Okay.
Yeah. I am still at my 9 to 5.
Well, she left for 6 months last year.
Yeah, I did. I had the baby last year, so I took 3 months, and then I took 3 months of personal leave as well. And I used to do a lot more along with my 9 to 5, and I don't do anything else besides my 9 to 5 in the businesses that we run. So I am still there. What keeps me still there? At one point, it was the fact that I worked hard for this. I paid $68,000 to get my private loans, student loans for my master's. But then now there's no real reason why I'm still there. I'm not discontent there. I've always worked from home since we moved to Dallas. So I have a lot of flexibility. I'm a manager there. So yeah, I'm just still at the company. No rhyme or reason. And I'm not saying I will be there forever, but I'm there now.
Yeah, it's interesting that you guys have this kind of dichotomy in your relationship right now, especially when it comes to working, because there were times where the duality of running my business, working my job, I had put it in a place where, to your point, it became efficient. I just got better at my day job because I had a side business, and that helped me craft the world that I wanted. So it was like I didn't have to let it go, and I was in a better space. I want to go here because I think the person who's watching this and who will see this 5 years, 10 years from now, when you guys are on Oprah and done all the things that you're gonna do, right?
From your lips to God's ears.
I think the thing that is important for our listeners to hear from you guys is you've been building a business, but was this like a dream business? Like, did you walk around and like, I want to clean a business? Like, no, this is it. This is what we, the Hartzog family, are built for. Talk to me about like why cleaning business, because I don't know a lot of people that go, yeah, that's the one that's going to get us out of debt. That's the one that makes my life easy. Everybody's selling all these other, dream ideas, right? It's all the other types of things. Cleaning business doesn't sound as sexy as what's being sold online. Talk to us about how y'all arrived here.
I'll say one part and then I'll have Anthony answer the other part. So neither of us come from background of entrepreneurship. Neither of us had any thought of running a business when we got married. We never said like, oh, we'll have a business. Just really with Anthony expanding and listening to different podcasts is when it came up like, maybe we should start a business. We started a business to help pay off debt. It wasn't even like, let's start a business to build legacy. Let's start a business to do entrepreneurship. It wasn't anything like that. And it turned into that. So we kind of ran into it, if you will, which it all worked out perfect. It worked out really well for us. But no, there was like no plan, no thoughts behind it besides this business is a low-cost startup and it will help us to pay off our debt.
And we said, yeah, we'll see what it grows, what it potentially grows into. Mm-hmm. Like you said, there was no rhyme or reason where we said this is going to be the thing, the vehicle that gets us to that next level. Now it has become that vehicle that got us to that next level. And I think anyone that's listening or watching that has a 9-to-5, and if you have extra funds or you have extra time, start something outside your business because you never know what it's going to turn into.
Outside your 9-to-5.
Outside your 9-to-5, you never know what it's going to turn into. You never know what it's going to grow into. So this is the best time to do it, especially if you have your 9-to-5, because, 5 years later, using that business, using that as a vehicle to leave my 9-to-5 to help us buy real estate, to help us start other businesses, to help us do and travel the world. It wasn't really a thought process. It was like literally we just wanted to pay off that sign right there, $114,000 of debt, and that was just the goal. So it wasn't a huge end goal for us. Like, let's just get here and figure out the rest later.
How long did it take you guys to pay off that $114,000? Like, when did you start that journey of paying off the debt, and then when did you make that last payment? And how did you celebrate?
So it was 23 months. We started, I want to say February 2017 and ended December 2018, because once we started, we didn't have a goal of when we'll pay it off. But when we were 3 months in, we realized how quickly we were paying it off. So we set a goal of paying it off by my 30th birthday. So we actually celebrated my 30th birthday in Houston with family and friends. And before we drove there from Dallas, we paid the last bill. We pressed the button together on the laptop, drank some champagne, and because we wanted it to be actually cleared by the time my birthday arrived. Sometimes it takes 3-4 days or whatever. And so that's how we celebrated. And then the May after, which is our anniversary, we did Maldives and Dubai. So it was an anniversary and debt payoff trip in one. So that's kind of the ways that we celebrated paying off the debt. And we continue to travel, so we still celebrate it.
100%. I love it. And I will tell you, there's a freedom in paying off debt while you're on the journey. But I think there's something else that I'm curious about, is some of the struggles after you started to build a profitable side business that now turns into a real business. Anthony, you did a post, a live a couple of days ago, probably about a week ago now. And I was so intrigued by the conversation you were having. And you were sharing with everyone very openly that there would be times at night you would wake up and have to check that laptop because you're so nervous. And there was the journey of, yeah, we got a business, hooray. But when everybody's not looking, Anthony's going through some things mentally.
Yeah.
And you were struggling with this idea of like, man, this thing can all go away tomorrow and it's all on us. It ain't the company. It ain't, it ain't the big corporation I work for. No, this is Hartzall, right? Talk to me about that journey, because I thought it was such a transparent moment that, I'll be honest, I don't hear a lot of people who build a business talk about. I appreciated that. I'm saying I want to give you your flowers to that, because just today I did a conversation about the things that people don't tell you about building a side business. And that was one of those things. So give everybody an understanding, like what goes through a person's mind in the middle of the night when the wife is like having to say, if you pick up that thing one more time, I know something, right? Like,
Absolutely.
so talk to us about that. What was happening? And I mean, if you don't mind sharing, like, what were the things that you were saying to yourself that you had to stop yourself from going down that Alice rabbit hole?
Yeah, I think when you have the business outside your 9 to 5, it's easy. Not easy, it's easier. You got your 9 to 5, and I think we took that for granted a little bit, because when we had the job, the company could do whatever the hell it wants to. But our 9 to 5 is still there. We still got great incomes from our 9 to 5. We still got our health benefits. And if the cleaning business does well, we decide to close it down tomorrow. All right, cool. We still got our jobs. But when you no longer, I've been a full-time entrepreneur now for 1 year. We had our cleaning business for 5 years, and going on 6 years. So we've had this business for 6 years. It's not a new business, but we've been full-time in that business for 1 year now, and not having that relied upon income does become scary. You wake up, at least for me, I appreciate you tuning into that live. I have an overactive mind anyway. I'm not even just about the cleaning business, just about everything that's happening. Our daughter, our house, our investment property. I have an overactive mind. New thoughts that come up all the time. So keeping those at bay is a challenge. The podcast, so there's a bunch of things that happen in my mind. And just some of those things that do keep me up sometimes at night, or wake me up extra early, 2, 3 in the morning. Like, I'm already up. I might as well stay up.
It don't even make sense. 2 in the morning, you don't might as well stay up.
So some of those things that do keep me up is the what ifs. Like, what if this doesn't work? What if I need to go back to my job? What if everything goes wrong? And one of my mentors told me, your worst case scenario is still better than 99% of the people's best case scenario. So that's something that kind of keeps me grounded and leveled and always has me thinking just the what ifs and the fear of not having at some point. Because that goes back to financial trauma that I grew up with, years ago.
And it's kind of, no, I was just going to say, it's funny that he always says, like, what if? And I'm like, during our process, he's always like, we can make this work. I know we can make this work. So when he starts to say, what if? I'm like, what do you mean, what if? That's not going to be the case. All won't burn down at the same time. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So. Yeah. Interesting you bring this up, because I think there's a great segue to this. I'm sure at times as husband and wife, the analogy I love using is that if you're both in a rowboat, you cannot be rowing on the same side at the same time. Otherwise, you're going in a circle, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm sure on this journey, the emotional intelligence has to raise between each other, right? I'm sure there's moments where when Ant's having that freak out moment, Janilka, you got to roll on the other side like, hey, we're still trying to keep this thing straight. How do you guys support each other when you can see that person having their weak moment? Because I think we all have them. I know for me, my biggest struggle is I don't like to fail. Like, I don't care what it is. I take failure to me is like death, right? So I overdo sometimes because I'm running from the failure, right? How do you guys support each other when you see your spouse kind of drifting, not because things are wrong, but to your point, I'm probably asking what if, or I'm worried, right? And we all handle worry a little differently, right? How do you guys support each other, and how do you help each other through those moments?
I would say that some people will probably think that we over communicate, but we do communicate a lot. His outlet a lot is the gym, going to the gym or taking a walk. If he gets overwhelmed and stuff like that. So we have a lot of conversations, and we do kind of call it out for each other. Sometimes we may not notice it ourselves. Like, okay, well, today, you're probably feeling away, so I'm gonna let you be for a bit. Like leaving each other alone to allow time for ourselves to do whatever we need to do. I think those are ways that we do it, communicating, and then also sometimes just giving each other the space that we need until we're ready to speak about it, because we generally speak about it with each other right away.
in that communication part, I remember, and it goes even to just outside the business, just to your personal lives, your family, paying off that debt. We would have team meetings, and the team is just us two, and family meetings where we sit
Family
down,
meetings.
Once a month at minimum and go through like everything, personal finance, business finance, how things are doing, the marriage. Now we got Alani, so we do a check-in. We just hit the 1 year. So we'll do those check-ins and just ask, straight questions, how you dealing with this? How'd you feel, our first year as parents did? How do we do? How do we grade each other? What are things we could improve on? Like Janoka said, for me, it was just like putting the phone down when I have Alani sometimes, and I'm constantly working on that. I remember it. So those are things that we do constantly and very consciously as well.
Yeah. There's a conversation that happens among employees who see people like yourselves being overly ambitious. There's the conversations in the cubes, and back in the day we would call it a wallet cooler, but nobody's at the office anymore, so we can't call it that. But
they all remote.
but there was a time where an Ant, a Janilka, people start to talk when they hear, oh, wait a minute, they doing what? Like, why are they out here doing this? And for some people, when you're building a side business and other people start finding out, it can be scary because you feel like, I remember feeling like, wow, what if my boss and just decide to not keep offering me work or just start trying to, weed me out of the process because somebody finds out, I'm over here making money. I want to know, did you guys ever deal with that? And if you didn't, what did you do to keep a great line of separation between the relationships at work and the ones you had to build in order to build that cleaning business?
So I think in July would be 9 years that I've been at my company, and I'm only friends with 3 people on Instagram. 2 of them are no longer with the company, and 1 is still with the company. So from what I know, my manager, people in my department have no idea about my life. If it has come up, they have not mentioned it. So that's been I just do not talk about it ever. It doesn't. And then it also, part of it, I've been working from home for the past 7 years as well. So that's probably another thing. When I was working in New York, we didn't have all of this. So there was nothing to discuss. So now it would be me offering the information, and I'm not going to do that. If somebody sees something, sure, but it's never come up. So I don't have any bird lines when it comes to that right now, at least.
And for me, it got extremely difficult. Probably the last pre-COVID
2 years. Yeah.
Pre-COVID, we was in COVID for 1.5 years before I left. Pre-COVID, it got really difficult because we was everywhere. Good Morning America hit, and they had Good Morning America in the office, and they was like, "Is that you?"
Wow.
They said, "Is that you?" I said, "Nope," and I went to my office, and that obviously was like, "All right." And then name starts popping up on podcasts, and they start seeing. I had people watching. You obviously know Dave. We was on his podcast, and he had people in my office. I managed a team of 35, and that was literally my office, my team. And I was a director of that office, and somebody's watching Social Proof podcast, and that starts making its way around the office. People start hearing the story. Now they know, okay, this is my boss. He's not talking about it. I can't ask him about it. So it's kind of like Superman when he takes off the glasses.
No, you said you was Batman at night.
Well, I think Superman, because you see Superman, he takes off the glasses, the same exact guy, but you put the glasses on, it's like, wait, he's not Superman anymore. So I think it was like that, and I just didn't answer any questions until probably the last year in. I started being more transparent about questions people asked. It wasn't about like my story, it's about questions that they had. So how you pay off debt, how do you do this, how you do that, and I'm just like giving my advice. And that was pretty much the way I kind of kept it.
Yeah. So talk about this Good Morning America. First of all, that is not like the local news channel picked that up. No, we're like you said, this was This is worldwide. And guess what? It's going to run a few times that day because they do a rerun for the people on the West Coast. And, it's all these things, right? So first of all, give me the before somebody called and made a phone call about Good Morning America. Where was your business? What were you guys earning at that time? And what was the thing that created the linchpin moment for Good Morning America to even pick up a phone?
So the Good Morning America special was really just about our debt payoff story. So when we started on Instagram, that's all people knew us for, our debt payoff story, because that's all we were actually sharing. So the segment really ended with us saying, and we started a cleaning business during this time. Literally, that's how it ends. And so there's not much mention around that. It's more about the debt payoff and the multiple side hustles that we had. So we had a article come out on Black Enterprise, and that's how they reached out because they saw the article of our debt payoff story. And if I'm not mistaken, they actually emailed. And we're both like, this is probably not real. They were there the next day. Cameras in the house the next day, ready to roll. And they came, recorded, it aired. Then Dallas News came. They saw it on Good Morning America, and then they wanted to get us on as well because they're like, "Whoa, you're living in Dallas. You're part of us now." So we want to hear the story, and we taped it that way. But that's how that went. Seeing the Black Enterprise article because we asked them, "How did they find us?"
So
then I was gonna say from that side, that's where some of the other publications started to come into play after Black Enterprise and Good Morning America started creating a snowball at that point.
Yeah. So I want to hear this because I think it's interesting. You start a side business and you're growing it. You probably can see there's an end in sight at some point during this journey, right? And you probably saw okay, I know we're probably gonna leave on this date with my job. But then that moment happens and there's all of this flash playing notoriety in the moment, right? One, did you feel prepared to capitalize on the moment? And two, what was the scariest part about being that well known?
I don't know if we thought about capitalizing on the moment at that time. Not really.
This is 2019, 2020.
No, it was COVID. It was January
2020.
Yeah, January 2020 is when Good Morning America came out. I don't even know if we had. I think we had 4,000 followers. I don't even know if we had 10,000. I don't think so. So yeah, it was a low count that we had. So I don't know if we were feeling to capitalize it. But at that point, I started to think okay, this is a possibility. My job could see this, and then maybe I ain't saying nothing bad about them, but maybe it could be I may have to have a conversation. That was the only thing I thought about. But I don't know.
That's actually a good point. I think we became mindful of what we said.
Right.
A lot more. Our words became a lot more intentional. Our posts became a lot more intentional. And I think we switched from our personal lives to the business around that time too. So we paid off the debt and we switched from the debt payoff journey to the cleaning business and the side hustle journey versus the personal life stuff. So we kind of pushed the personal life conversation aside. Stop mentioning the name of our cleaning business, stop mentioning the name of our jobs, stop talking about what we did, and focus more on building things outside your 9 to 5.
Yeah. Now, there was a time, and correct me if I'm wrong, not one side business, not two side businesers, not three side businesses, not four side businesses. You had 5? Am I hearing that right?
That's when we were trying to pay off the debt. Yeah.
And I don't even want to say they were businesses. We were definitely jobs and side hustles at that point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Talk to us. Tell us what they were. What were they?
So we were doing Rover, which is like an Airbnb for dogs. Basically, people, instead of you sending your dog to PetSmart, you leave them at somebody's home. So like I said, I work from home, so we were watching dogs, and I would watch dogs in the day and walk them because we have a dog. So that was one thing. We were working at a gym. Equinox was a gym we were working at for $9 an hour. And I stayed there long enough to become a manager at the front desk. So we did that, but it was free membership. So we really enjoyed that. I'm a mental health therapist, so I started doing private practice on the side while I was still
Wow.
working my 9 to 5, was just with a whole different company. We were doing Turo. We were renting our car out when we had 2 cars at the time on Turo on that platform. And what else am I missing? I think sometimes you did some surveys here and there, but I think those.
And
And then
you
what
picked
else
up
did
the
I
other
do?
job.
Oh, I did a contract, and I did another contractor role that I was doing, and then we started the cleaning business. So there was a lot happening on top of our 9 to 5s,
All within those 2 years.
all within those 2 years. But
Okay, so
yeah,
I hear all of this,
yeah.
and I can't help but wonder, how did you keep the marriage afloat?
hmm So the most important thing with all the things that we mentioned was that, except for Equinox, we didn't really have to go in anywhere, if that makes sense. Most of everything was flexible that we can turn off if we wanted to. So watching dogs, we could close our calendar. Renting the cars, we can say no. The private practice, it was even flexible as well, like depending on my availability. So we made sure of those things when it came to us side hustling,
Yeah.
and prioritizing that. So if ever a time we're not seeing each other, we're just passing by, we would make sure to have weekends or nights together to spend that time together. That's another reason why we did Equinox together. Because even if we weren't home, we're at the gym together. So we'll see each other passing by.
See each other passing by, have
lunch together,
lunch conversations.
Yeah.
We go home together. So we made that was
We were prioritizing.
I think the Equinox part, and I definitely want to give them they props, because that probably helped us a lot during that time too, because we're working 9 to 5 and they're working from 5 to 10. And 5 to 10 we're both at the gym, but we both work there together. So if I didn't want to be upstairs, I just came downstairs at the front desk and I'm literally standing there with her, and they knew we were married and there was no beef or anything like that. So I think that was a big help for us. But like Janoka said, just being intentional about, all right, we're not working this weekend. We're going out to date night. Speaking of, we got to plan that date night too. Planning those date nights, being intentional about that, just like being intentional about the monthly conversations.
Yeah, it's wow, man. That's incredible. My wife and I have found that there's times where we could be working on the same thing meaning we could be working on the same business, but not on the same things at the same time. And whatever I might be working on might be really stressful in the moment. But at the same time, she might be working on a different part of something, might not be that stressful. And there's times where we're miscommunicating, not because, this isn't right or you didn't do this right. It's more of somebody's in a stressful moment, the other person's not, but we don't recognize that, there's a moment there for somebody. How do you guys manage when one person's having a stressful moment in the same exact business, and maybe you're working on a different part of it that's like not, and so you're trying to navigate those waters? Because sometimes, I can be honest, they're a landmine. I didn't know I stepped on one. But then there's the times where you don't realize that, like, wait, wow, maybe there's a stretch of time that what she might be really good at in this business is just it's just a season of, it's just heavy, right? How do you guys manage those moments when you're operating this cleaning business, especially when the business is growing? Because I would imagine in your world, the number of clients that you onboard for the business starts to, take these. It's just not like 1 and 2 houses every other week. It's 10 this week. It's, it starts to really morph. How do you handle each other when those moments are kind of happening and the other person can see it, but you didn't know that maybe they were having that crazy wild moment and just things feel like it's a lot heavier? How are you helping each other?
For us, I would say a big part of it is making sure we have the right help in place too. Because I don't think people realize how much your personal life impacts your business life. So if things are, and then unfortunately or fortunately for us, and you as well, your house is your house and your spouse, and you also have your business there as well. It's all under the same roof. So whatever stress you feel in your personal life, you're gonna feel it in your business life, and business and vice versa. equally. So I think making sure we have the right help in place, and it's not just house help, but just like family in place, friends, but then also business help as well. So we have an operations manager who runs the business, quote unquote, every day. We have a virtual assistant, a person who handles these customer service calls. So the things that we can work on are not as stressful on a day-to-day basis, but it's more of a strategic planning basis. So I think the day-to-day is a lot harder than some of the long-term strategic planning, because you could get caught up in that day-to-day and it becomes a big-ass whirlwind of problems at some point. Excuse my language.
And then before, like, when the business had just started, we were just all on deck, both of us, trying to figure it out and working together to figure that out. And we understood and know to this day still the strengths and weaknesses of each other. So if someone is in something, then it's like, okay, maybe I'll let you do what you need to do, and then you can bounce your idea on, we can discuss it after so I can get a better understanding. How can I assist you if you're so overwhelmed? What can I do? Even if I can't do the exact task, has to be something that I can contribute to help to not make you so stressed about it. So that's another thing that we are sure to kind of discuss and communicate with each other.
Yeah, 100%. All right. So all these side businesses, at some point you start letting them go because one of them is popping, and that was the cleaning business. Now, there's a difference between what I've learned of saying, hey, I want to do this thing for a little while, but then actually committing to the thing. And I think part of what I've learned in my personal journey, and a lot of people within my group have had to struggle with, is fully committing, because some people find out they're a little bit actually afraid of the potential success of the business, because that unknown game is very, very scary, especially when, and I'm going to talk to you about this a little later, but I'm very also curious about how did you learn to let go of that corporate identity? We'll talk about that. But when you're building this business and you finally decide, like, oh no, we're committing. Was the business already taking off and making money and then you committed? Or was it like you committed before and you just knew, like, this is the thing? How did that play out for you guys?
One of the things that we committed to early on was structuring the business like a business. So everything else that you mentioned, it wasn't a business. We were just doing it as a quote unquote side hustle. So from the very beginning for the cleaning business, we had our LLC, we had a logo, we had branding, we had a website. So we had money into these things. Business account, business checking account.
Separate.
So from the very beginning, I don't think it was like this thing is going to be a rocket ship, but we said we're committing some form of ourselves, some form of money, some form of time to this business here, versus everything else we did was like, all right, well, we already got the cars, we got the dogs, working at the gym, becoming a contractor here and there. There was nothing else we really put any sort of energy into, really, outside of just our personal energy. But in terms of business energy, there was nothing else we did.
Yeah, and with it being our first business, I guess we wanted it to work. We wanted to put in the effort to make sure that it worked. And at month 8, there was a time where we were ready to give up because we were comparing ourselves to others, and we were saying that, we're not making enough money. We need to just let it go. Mind you, we weren't really losing money because we didn't take any money out of the business, and we didn't have to put anything else in. So there was enough money there. So what was really stopping us? Just the comparison. And with us doing that, he was like, well, let's just try to make it work at least for a year. Like, this is month 8. Let's try to make it work for a year. If it doesn't work by the year, then we can call it quits. We can move on. And literally the month after that was our biggest month, and it just continued to go up after that. So that was, I guess, if you want to say, we committed at the beginning, but maybe month 8, when we said at least we'll go to a year, that was another step in the commitment within the cleaning business.
And a lot of our students, and we talk about this in our Cleaning Business University course, is like, you got to commit first to this thing. You got to say this thing is gonna work, because a lot of them come in and they kind of flake with it. Like you mentioned, they got the Toros, the Airbnbs, the vending machines. There's so many other things you could do, But if you commit, everybody that's teaching you how to do something, they committed to that one thing first, or at least they committed to that one thing for a certain amount of time before doing something else. So that's one of the things we tell our people all the time. Just commit to one thing for at least a year and figure it out. And then I guarantee you'll see some sort of success.
You guys have obviously grown individually. You've grown as a unit a lot in this 6-year journey. If you could go back and talk to 6 years ago, Anthony, 6 years ago, Janoka, what would you say to that person now that you have this experience?
What would I say?
Want me to go?
Go ahead, if you know already, yeah.
One thing I would probably say to myself is get around people who are doing different things sooner. I think the Dallas move for us was just life changing. Mm-hmm. And if I could have made them, I mean, things happen. God, he plans things out for you, and things happen on, his time. But if we were able to get out of New York, and her father, he's been in Miami, he's been in Florida his whole life, 20 years at this point. And he's been saying that you guys got to get out of New York, get from around people that you see every day, get around something new, get around space, get around land, get around opportunity.
As a New Yorker, you don't want to hear that.
You don't. All you know is your city.
You don't trust it.
You could have traveled the world, but still, all you really know is your city if you haven't lived anywhere else. So I probably would have said, get around other people, get around other places a lot sooner to expand my thinking earlier. Because all we knew, it's crazy how long you only know a 9 to 5 for. And when we started telling people we had jobs outside of 9 to 5, I said, wait, you make a lot of money, or you make good money. Why would you have another job outside your 9 to 5? And it seemed that people thought we weren't making enough money. In reality, your job will never be able to pay you the amount that you feel like you want in life. So getting around people sooner would probably be something I would tell myself, and changing the environment.
For myself, I don't know. Maybe I'll just say trust Anthony with his business ideas. I
wouldn't say that for you. So I think you saying no allows us to kind of put a lot of things that's trash.
Absolutely, like trucking.
I still don't say trucking's a bad one. I just said it wasn't for us.
It is. For us it is. But no, that's my only thing. I believe that everything happens for a reason. So I don't regret anything. Our journey was how it needed to be. We needed to pay off the debt before we did any investments or any stocks. I know people feel different about that. But yeah, that's the only thing I would think about right now, at least.
100%. Okay. So I want to talk about a couple of posts you guys made. I want to ask some questions. Rapid fire here. There was a conversation that you guys had that you posted back earlier this month, and then we'll start working our way even further back. There was a conversation, Ant, that you were having about not using your kids as an excuse for not achieving. Talk to me about, because I'm going to be honest with you, okay? I struggled with the idea of, yeah, but they're only 5 once, man. They're only 13 once, man. They're only 15 once, man. And now I got my oldest son in college as a freshman and my youngest is a senior, right? And I'm like, where the heck did time go? But, I think about that. And I know a lot of other people think about that. And so, yes, it is a real conversation in a lot of parents' heads. And that's what makes them go, I'm sorry, Heartsog. I hear y'all. I love the podcast. I hear y'all talking all this stuff. But I need to be here with my kids. To that, you say what?
I don't disagree with you. I don't think it has to be either or. I think one of the challenges is that we think it either or, and why can't it be both of them? So I was saying that not to use your kids as an excuse why you aren't able to achieve the goals you want to achieve. And we hear this all the time, like, I wasn't able to go to college because I had kids. I wasn't able to do this, and I understand that. You got the single mom that's not able to do it. But what happens when your kids are old enough where you're able to go back and achieve the things that you want to do? And then also, when we were going through our journey, we heard this, like literally, And this goes back to that exposure conversation. We was on Good Morning America. Don't read the comment section on any publication that you are ever be on or ever will be on in the future, because they will go through your life. Oh, they're black. Oh, they're white. Oh, they both have hair. Oh, they both went to college. Oh, they don't have kids. That's why they're able to do so much, which is why that conversation came up. It's like, you can do the things that you want to do in life, but don't allow your kids to be the excuse or reason why you were not able to do what you wanted to do in life.
Wow. All right. We on rocking and rolling. Next one. Janilka, you put up a post and you said you were talking about entrepreneurship and the idea of work. And one of the things you were talking about is just how different that looks and why it looks that way. Help me understand what you're trying to convey there. And here's the thing that I think about. I think the person that's working that 9 to 5, that really, you're helping, and yeah, they listen to you and they rocking with you. Like, they're like, yes, she's right. But a lot of employees have been used to other people telling them what to do. Mm-hmm. So when I see that post and I heard that, I'm thinking, I wonder what is the prompt for a conversation like that. Talk to me about that post and just help me understand what you mean by the work is different.
The work is different because it's kind of like it has to get done or it has to get done, right? Mm-hmm. Now, there's a different mindset as well. I don't believe that everyone should be an entrepreneur. I absolutely do not. Or everybody should own a business. I don't. Some people, like you said, are fine at their job, and that's totally fine. But some people just we hear some of our students just give the idea that it's not working. And when we go through the information of what they've done or haven't done, it's like, well, you didn't do the work. That's why it's not working. Let's be very clear. Let's call a spade a spade. 90% of the time it's not working because you told me you had 2 interviews when I told you need to have 20 to try to be successful. Right. And so when I was like, people say these things, but they don't really mean it. Like, they don't really mean that they're doing the work. Like, it's just something to say that it didn't work for me or it's not working out. Now, don't get me wrong. There may be things that happen that don't do it, but more than likely people are not doing the work that they say they should do. And then on the other side of it, the work just looks different. Like, for example, especially at the beginning when we had our baby, that meant we were recording a podcast at 9 o'clock at night. You think I want to be recording any camera bright at 9 o'clock at night when I probably woke up at 4 a.m. breastfeeding? No. But it's part of my job as an entrepreneur that I have to get it done. So that's what I mean by like putting in that work and really meaning and really doing it, that a lot of people don't do. Of course, there are some people that do, but a lot of people just kind of settle and don't really work for it, is how I feel.
Wow. Yeah. So another post. You guys, I see this common thread of we travel. It's not just like we travel because, finally we get to travel. No, it's like, no, we travel, right? It's like we breathe, we travel, right? Talk to me about that decision, because here's the thing that, again, I think we got to consider the person who's listening, right? Like, travel sounds awesome. I hear y'all heart saws and travel this and travel that. Okay, cool. Why did you guys say, no, this is a staple of this house and everything else around it, everything else in the world is going to revolve around us being able to make sure we can do this? Why is that such an important thing for you guys?
Well, my family is from Panama. And so me and my cousins are first generation Americans. So I've always traveled since the age of 2. I would go home to Panama every summer and stay by my grandparents 2-3 months. So traveling is a big part of my family. So that was something that I wanted to make sure that I continue to do. Like, Anthony didn't leave the country until he was 25. That is absurd to me, but I understand that many people operate that way.
35 people haven't left the country. People haven't left their hometown.
I know, it's just crazy. But anyway, so growing up and with it being part of my family, that's the reason why we bring it into this. And that, we'll continue to do the same thing with our daughter. Like, she's been on 35 flights before one. And that's what we'll continue to do. I think you being exposed to other cultures is another way that you can learn, as well as not just listening to the news or just in your environment, kind of getting out of the environment, seeing the world, seeing so many things. I value that tremendously. And Tony just he just shows up. He's like, okay, what I need to pack? What are we doing? Okay.
Part of it was, and then when you talk about family, you talk about tradition. This is part of her family tradition where they travel. Her family reunion has been ongoing for 20, 30 years at this point. Mm-hmm. And they travel every 2 years as a family, like not just this people. Family, not just mm-hmm. the mom, the pops, the uncle. No, the great grandfather, the great grand aunt, the cousins, the nieces, the nephews. And if they travel as a family every 2 years and they have a great family dynamic, and me on my side, I don't travel and I have no family dynamic, there might be a correlation there. So if we could keep that family tradition where she loves to travel, I travel with her family more than I travel by myself. We're going to make sure our daughter travels with us, and we're going to keep that family tradition, because there might be some correlation between the closeness of her family and the lack of closeness on my side.
Totally agree. I'm in the same boat. I did not travel one bit until I met my wife. My wife travels everywhere. I mean, when I say everywhere, I'm like, and I will tell you, my wife has this saying, with or without you. And it's because she's always said, like, we only got one life. And she's like, listen, I'm doing this with or without you, but I'm going this way. And I've learned to have to adopt that, because it's helped me, tremendously in so many different areas. But I love the fact that y'all have that. So you guys, built a cleaning business. It's obviously giving you a life and a perspective that, a lot of employees probably dream of and hope to one day achieve. Mm-hmm. I'm curious as to what's the end game with the hard songs? What's the end game here?
I'm reading a book right now, and they said successful people really have no end game, because like you literally your shirt that you're wearing, and it's the seek of knowledge, it's the seek of doing better, it's the seek of transformation for yourself and your family, and you're always going to be transforming as a human. So in terms of the business, now there may be a point where we decide to sell the business, or maybe a point where we decide to, all right, at this point it's 100% hands off, maybe like other routes. So we may go into like government contracting or commercial and stuff like that. But that's just due to you evolving as a person. You may evolve to the point where you decide, all right, my success no longer looks like a successful cleaning business. It may looks like a sold cleaning business. It may looks like a commercial cleaning business where it's no more residential. We're going to take this type of clients now. So success changes and evolves along with you as a person. So I can't say, quote unquote, there's an end game. End game is ever moving, ever evolving with us.
Good deal. So let's talk about this business. I want to spend the last few minutes here. Like, let's talk, man. So what's the year-over-year revenue of this business, and what is it that people need to understand that's possible that people are not talking about when it comes to this type of business as an employee?
Okay, so
we'll just do last year. Last year we did 560 in revenue, and I don't think people recognize that a business like this. Let's not even just take the cleaning business side. A local service business, mom and pop shops. They are people like, why a cleaning business? And it's a low cost startup. Mom and pop shops. We were able to come into an industry in Dallas, Texas. People say my market is oversaturated. Whatever market you got in California and New York, the market is very equivalent in Dallas, Texas. I tell you that much. People are moving to Dallas, Texas. So a market like this, we're able to come in. We don't need all the revenue share, all the market share. And if you come into a business where you feel like there's saturation, people don't recognize if there's a saturated market, that means people are buying. That means there is not enough service providers for the need that is necessary to do the business. So when you think about that, I want people to change their mindset around the word saturation. Think about it as you go down the bread aisle. We talk about this all the time. You go down the water aisle. They're not saying there's too much bread or water. No, people are going to grab their Wonder Bread. People are going to grab their potato bread. They're grabbing their Essential water. Like, think about saturation in a market as a lack of providers to do the service. So that's one thing I really want to get over to the viewers as well, because we'll hear that across any local service business.
And it's always going to be needed, right? People are always going to need their homes cleaned. People are always going to need their hair done. People are always going to need their nails done. Like, it's just a business that's always going to be around. I mean, we didn't invent the business, obviously. So it's another reason why you should get into it, because it can make it through. It made it through COVID. Our business, we were able to make it through COVID, and, you know, it can continue to grow and do that and provide legacy.
I love this because, can I tell y'all something? There's a narrative around about pandemicpreneurs, right? And they're slowly dying. They're dying off. But I think the thing that I try to convey to people is that if you found a business, like, people love talking about, oh, it's recession proof. I'm not going to call any business recession proof. I'm going to say I think that the cleaning industry is recession resilient. Because it doesn't mean that it's not impacted. It just means it can last and actually make it beyond a recession. And so, you know, talk to me about, like, how did you guys acquire your first customer, and help us understand, how is it that somebody, you know, talk to me like I'm the guy that pressed the button on the site. I want to help me understand, how do I go about leveraging my market here in Charlotte, North Carolina, and build this cleaning business? What do I do? Where do I start? And what should I be looking at that most people don't even pay attention to?
So first thing first is, we run this business like how all these billion-dollar industries run their business. Essentially, Uber, Lyft, Airbnb, none of them, Airbnb doesn't own homes, Uber doesn't own cars. They are the middlemen. So they connect somebody with the customer. And that's exactly what we do with the cleaning business as well. Due to our social proof that we've built up and the reviews basically that we have, people go online, they're looking for cleaning services, they see our website, and then they book us. Then we get the booking, and we would send it out to our contractors and say, hey, who wants the job? These are the details. Contractor takes the job. They go and do it. They get paid. We get paid. We take a split. That's essentially how we run the business. Really, we're really the middlemen, and that's how it operates. That's why we work with contractors. They know they have their own cleaning supplies and things like that, and they know how to do the cleaning and run their own businesses as well.
So people ask, well, why would the contractor work with you versus finding their own clients? Or why would the client work with you versus finding their own cleaners? So on the contractor side, they're working with you because a mom and pop shop normally doesn't have an online presence. They normally don't have a digital footprint, and they find most of their clients via word of mouth. So they hate the actual business side of it. They like cleaning. That's what they do. That's what they're excellent at. Now, if you tell me I could do what I'm excellent at, you give me more of that and take everything else away, that's the conversation we have with them. We'll give you more cleans and do everything else for you, and you just go and do what you're excellent at. And that's why, like, we can give you, versus you having 5 jobs a week, we could give you 10, 15 more jobs. You don't have to worry about anything but just showing up and doing the job well. On the client side, they don't know any idea about the difference between a big cleaning company, unless it's a nationwide brand, versus us. We have a reputable website. They go on our website. It looks just like any other cleaning company. The difference is we have the ability to book us online. You can pay us online. You can see our schedule online. You can see our social proof online. So we're doing these things that we pretty much took the cleaning business and brought it to the digital age, where people just want to find you, book you, and pay you, and you show up and do what you say you're going to do.
Okay, I'm sold. I get it. I get it. But I'm gonna push back. I'm gonna push back, Hard Sog family. I'm gonna push back. Okay, I get it. There's this business. There's this thing that I can do. But But y'all, come on, Janelka, I don't know nobody. I go home, I go to work, I come home. I don't know even my neighbor across, the way from me. I don't know how I'm gonna go find and drum up enough business to make this happen. What do I have to do in order to do that? Because I hear what the client and the contractor, how it works for them. But do you tell me I got to go out here and I got to go knock on my neighbor's door? I got to go talk to Jerry. I got to go talk to Christine. I got to go talk to Terry. Like, you telling me I got to go do that before I'm actually start making some money?
If you want to, you can, but that's not the way we run it. So the way that we do it, we're, like you said, we're from Brooklyn, New York. When we moved down here to Dallas and started our business, we didn't have any friends, family, or anyone just like you that's starting your business. So we had, we got an LLC, we got started in that way, but we started joining mom groups on Facebook. We started marketing there. There's a platform called Nextdoor. These are all free ways that you can do it online. We started marketing in Nextdoor. If you would like to, tell people at church, tell people at the supermarket, tell people at work what you're doing. This is how people kind of get into your funnel. You can have friends and family leave you reviews about how good your website is, how clear the manager was when they provide information to start to build that social proof. So it's not just about Christine the neighbor, but you can have that social proof online and continue to put in marketing dollars on some of these websites, such as Thumbtack, Yelp, Google Leads, to then get more reviews and get more clients.
And I think people forget. I know you see the end result of what we've built, but every excuse that a person probably has, we did. This is our first business, so we kind of go back to that. No, we weren't from Dallas, Texas. We moved here when we started our business. No, we didn't have 5 businesses before this. This is our first business. No, we didn't have $1 million because we were $114,000 of debt. We were trying to pay that off. So we're removing those excuses as we're going through some of these conversations that people forget that we actually went through when we started.
Yeah. So, all right. Okay. I hear you. Okay. You talked to me about the client, told me all about the contractor. You telling me I can, talk to a few people and I can build a site and build a social proof. I got it. Here's my other piece though. If I'm an employee every single day and I'm tired when I get home and okay, listen, I got kids to deal with. I got to run them around. They got football practice and lacrosse practice and soccer practice on the weekends. I don't really get no rest because they got games on the weekend. I've got, other commitments. Like, where in the world am I going to find time to sit here and build this business? Talk to me, family. What am I supposed to do?
So there's two things to that. You're gonna need to put in some sweat and time into running a business and getting your business, specifically when you're getting your business up and running. So you're gonna have to make time after work. Some people say at the beginning they're doing maybe 15, 20 hours a week. They're committing to making sure that their business get up and running. The other side of it is you can hire a VA. You can hire somebody from the Philippines that maybe you pay them $4 or $5 an hour and they can run your business. You teach them, you let them know what you want them to do, and they can answer the phones for you. They can respond to your leads. So there's multiple ways to do it. But for us, I think if you are starting a business, if this is your first business, you need to find the time to get this business up and running, just to at least know what's happening in your business before you hand it off to anybody else.
You're either going to have the time or you're going to have the money to do so. You got to figure out which one you got, which one can you leverage during that time. We didn't have the money because we were trying to pay off the debt. So we had to use the time that we did have moving down to Dallas, Texas, not having any friends and family, working on outside the 9 to 5, outside the side hustles, working on the weekend. We were, instead of us going out to brunch on Saturday, we said, all right, we're going to spend 5 hours interviewing people on Saturdays only. So there were things that we had to do because we didn't have the money at the time. So we leveraged what we did have, which was time.
I love it, man. I love it. All right. Listen, man, y'all have been giving me a bunch of y'all time. So first of all, thank you. Let me say this as we get ready to wrap up. I am more appreciative of your personal decisions to be this way, to be this couple, to be these business owners, to be that person, more than you know, because it's very difficult, especially as couples who are doing business, I always tell people there's couples who are doing business, meaning they both have a separate business, and then there's couples who do business together. That's a totally different monster, right? And you guys have chosen to do a business together. Last question. Your daughter's here. She is definitely giving you guys a perspective on life, building this business. When she sees this 10 years from now, talk to your daughter. What do you want her to know about why, while she was born of God to be able to be born to you as parents, and she's got this life, and she's going to grow up and start understanding, oh, we travel in this family. We go somewhere every other year, right? Like she's going to learn these routines. Talk to her 10 years from now. Why are you doing this? What do you want her to know?
I would say for her, Alani, I would want you to know that you're capable of doing anything and everything. You don't have to, if you don't want to become an entrepreneur, you don't have to. If you don't want to go to college, you don't have to. You have options. And I hope that us as parents continue to show you the way and guide you enough for you to know that you have enough options and you're supported in whatever you decide to do.
Yeah, that's probably that would probably be my same answer there too. Is just knowing that you could do probably anything you put your mind to. When we paid off $114,000 of debt, you sit there and just saying that number sounds crazy. Now it seems normal because we did it, 3-4 years ago. But that was just the switch that said we can do anything we want to do as a family. And I want her to come into this family realizing you can do anything you want to do in this family.
100%. Well, man, listen, I appreciate you guys. You guys are definitely who I call those who take massive action. My definition of massive action is those who execute above the average. And clearly you guys have done that. And I'm appreciative of that. Lastly, share with everyone, man. How can they find y'all? Of course, all the links will be down below, but how can they find y'all? What you guys got going on, and what's the ways that you guys serve the larger community?
So cleaningbusinessuniversity.com is where you can find out more about our course that we have of how to own a cleaning business without cleaning any homes. Then you can find us at the Hartrimony. I have it on my shirt above us. The HARTRIMONY. And you can find us on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok with that name. And then we have our podcast, More Than a Side Hustle podcast, where you can also tap in. We post the episode every Tuesday, so make sure you listen to us there as well. Any other place I missed?
Nah, you got it all.
Yeah, those are the places that you can tap in and get more value with the Hard Zogs.
Good deal. Well, listen, y'all, another dope interview. I told y'all this couple was dope. I said that at the beginning, and y'all probably thought, oh, he kidding. Y'all know we love to have great conversations with great people who are doing dope stuff and those who take massive action in their lives. Go check out their podcast, man. More Than a Side Hustle. I love it. And what I want you to do is, when you get there, make sure you shout them out and let them know, hey, I heard them first over on the Grow Your Side Business podcast. Show them some love. Show them the respect that they deserve, because guess what? They the ones paid off $114,000 in debt, okay? And they built a great business. Thank y'all so much for watching. Thank y'all for being here. You know what? This is the end of another great episode. I will see you guys in the next one. Have a great, incredible night. And until then, peace.